Okay, welcome to another live stream. So we're going to be talking about more Christmas lights. Yeah, I went nuts again. So in my testing phase, I was testing these guys out, and if you remember, or for the few that didn't watch, I had a set of these that were pretty knackered, and believe it or not, it was not the only set that was knackered. I forgot all about the ones that were in another box for my actual live tree that is outside. So once I got into them, I found out more that they were the newer of the older of the bunch. So, like I mentioned, this wire that is on these lights. Now these lights are pretty cool. These snowfall, meteor shower, rainfall type snowfall tubes. I got these, I don't know how many years ago. I started with these things, and as years went on, you got more and more and more until you were satisfied that, year after year you can consistently wrap them and yet still maintain the same amount of lights on the tree, so you didn't have to, put stuff on the side or get more. So as time went on, my live tree needed these things. So, it started out with a couple of sets, about 3, 4, 5 sets, blah, blah, blah. But the problem with that is the newer lights, the wire on here was not as good. And this is one of them sets where, especially right now it's room temperature, but this wire the insulation on it is so stiff. So I can just imagine this wire gets even stiffer when it's out in the cold. And then when it's strung out on a tree, it's kind of strung out like that. So I noticed, within about 2 seasons that this wire would start to crack. So the crack would get in there, of course the moisture would get in there, and if it was raining or snowing on them, 12 volts would be, pretty much arcing across them. And it would eventually burn through and rot out the wire, and then it would break connection, because all of these are in series. So if one wire breaks, the rest of the set goes out. It's not like it's in parallel. That's just the way these are wired. And on top of that, these are not, even though they're like water resistant, they still let a little bit of water come through. And of course the tubes would be all full of condensation or water. So I would compensate by drilling some holes in the bottom so that it could get out, or at least, when the sun was out, it would evaporate the condensation out of them. So that extended the life of them. But going back to the wire, it basically failed. And I did make another order for these, and I'm kind of glad that the order got canceled, because I decided to go in a different direction after I found out so many of these sets went bad. And it's not that the tubes went bad, it's the wire that went to them went bad. So you'd be saying, well, why don't you just fix them? Well, the biggest problem is you can fix them, but by the time you hollow out and rip out the wire inside the tube, it's not really worth any kind of time to fix them. It's just easier to, either replace them or go in a different direction, which is what I did. So in the past, I would, get under here and pry them open, and then that would just let the tube slide out, and then you could desolder the wires, making note of where they went, because like I said, they are in series with each other, even though they're in parallel series, stuff like that. But if one breaks, the whole set goes out, or at least prior to the break. So anything after the break, they go out. So I went in a different direction, and now we're going to see that different direction right now, because I ordered spent a whole hell of a lot more money this year on lights than I have ever did in the previous years. So to replace them, I went and I checked out both Christmas Lights, etc., and Christmas Designers, and they both carry the same lights, under different brands. So one is wintergreen, and then the other one is Pro Christmas. But more than likely, it comes from the same factory. So I got these guys. So these are the heavy duty commercial, because I love commercial lights because they do last a lot longer than your standard plain Jane lights. So I got 3 different sizes of these. So if you ever navigated the site and you come across the Meteor lights, you know where to find them, what they're for, and how much they cost. So I got 10 of each size. So 12, 24, and 36 inches. So we'll open up the smallest of the tubes. And I'm surprised they didn't all come in one box. They all come in separate shipping boxes. So we'll open these up, because I haven't opened these yet, so I have no idea what they look like in real life. I know they're going to be a lot different than what I just showed you. And these all come by FedEx, so Purple Santa has arrived. So, packing, and of course there's 2 boxes in here, so. And of course they are made in China, but hopefully to a better standard than what we're accustomed to. So each box contains 5 tubes. So, and these are, like I said, so these are the wintergreens. So it was the competition between the 2 sites who had the better price. So Christmas Lights, etc., had the better price. Not by much, but enough to say, we're going over there. So here they are. Wow. So these things are pretty cool for the first time I've seen them. So these are a big, I think it's a 1-inch tube. So these are a 1-inch tube. Of course, the light's going to wash them out a little bit, but they still got this. They're all surface mount in there. So this is kind of like, this is a lot like my my Trippy Drippies, but in commercial form. So these are all self-powered, so they all got a dropping resistor in there, and there's a rectifier in there. There's a bunch of diode. There's even a Zener diode in there. Ooh, baby! And that big honking control chip in there. So that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool that actually somebody could get in there and hack them, and then put kind of like my Trippy Drippies in the back, where you can program them for different stuff. So here are tubes in 12. This is the 12-inch, and he's got screen printed right in there, wintergreen. And let's see, it looks like they got some date code in there. That'd be cool if the guy does have a date code in there. (240219). So I'd imagine the 2/24 of 2019. And of course the chip has been ground, so you can't see what kind of chip is in there. So there's actually some Zener diodes in there. So that's pretty cool. We'll have to fire some of these up. So they are in a plastic tube, and like I said, there's 5 in a box, so I got 10 a piece. So that's the 12-inch. So pack of 5. So we'll get the medium sized out. I think I'm gonna like these a lot better than the other ones, especially when you got a bunch of them all. Of course, on here, I'm gonna have to start going backwards. So these things, like I said, I got 3 different sizes, so that's gonna be friggin' awesome. So same thing. They got wintergreen on the board, and these are also the same date code. Oh, and another thing I should add with these are the warm white. So I kind of ordered these by mistake because I wasn't really paying attention to the detail of when I was getting click copy. But these are actually new for 2024, even though that the board says 19 on them. But I would imagine probably a plethora of these boards have been made, and they just changed the diodes on them, because they do come in different colors. So they come in now warm white, the cold white, red, green, and blue. So, and if you go on Christmas Designers, they actually got a 2-tone and even a tritone. So they got white and blue, white and red, and I think red, white, and blue, and then green, white and green, and stuff like that. So whatever you want to have on hand, or what you can afford to buy, I should say. If you got the money to splurge on something like this. So something like this, I'm going to have a, these are the C9 style. So the, you can either use your traditional pre-made stringers or design your own custom. So I'm going to use the custom mode because I want to, for the particular reason is because the tree that I'm going to put it on, you don't necessarily need lights on the back of the tree because nobody's going to see it. So basically a 3-sided tree. So I'm going to I got custom SP1 wire plugs and sockets, all vampire type, to custom make my own set. So otherwise, your standard C9 sets, they come in 6-inch spacing, 12-inch spacing, 15, 18, 24, and 36. So speaking of 36, here is the 36-inch tube. And of course, the longer the tube, the more diodes are in there, or LEDs. So we got all 3 sizes that are available. And I know when these things first come out, not all the sizes were available. And when these did come out, everybody bought them in a hurry, just because it was something new and something different. So we got all 3 sizes to break up the pattern. But even if you got 1 size, it's going to, yeah, it keeps going. Oh, wow. I like these. But I got to see what they look like when they're lit up. So I'm going to make a little test jig here out of these lights here, so I can demonstrate these things. So I've had in the Horde these lights, these sockets, these vampire sockets, and of course, got to protect your investment. Yes, I do think of these as an investment because, like I said, I got LED string lights that are from 2010 that are still working. So these are all your SP1 Vampire style C9 sockets, replacement sockets. So my intent was, when I started seeing these things coming out, my intent was to add these to my C7 stringers on the big tree, and add these in in the event that the other lights started failing. So it was one of them things where only, for whatever reason, the very odd ones, only the ones on the very bottom of the tree were actually the ones that were failing on the big tree, but on the new live tree, the newer live tree, lights were failing just at random, just because of the crappy wire on them. So, and of course, when I put all new RGBs on the big tree, I got a bunch of this SP1 wire because I went from 24 volt to 12 volt RGB stringers, and the problem with the 12 volt is that the bus bar, the power doesn't go all the way up. It can't travel that far. It runs out of power, so you gotta inject power at every second strip to have consistent lighting. So I got a bunch of this wire because I didn't know how much I would need, so I just bought more than I needed. So I got plenty to play with. So we'll go over and stab a plug on. So of course this damn thing ain't gonna switch, so I'll have to do it manually. So these are the Vampire type sockets or replacements and stuff like that, and they're just snap to fit. So SP1 wire, SP2 wire is basically the same gauge wire. It's 18 gauge wire, but the insulation is different between the two. So the difference between the two wires is that the SP1 can handle 8 amps and the SP2 can handle 10. So that is the only difference between the wire. So normally, this is a non-polarized plug, so it doesn't matter which way the direction of the wire is. Now some of these things could be polarized, where the one blade will be thicker than the other. So in this particular case, it doesn't matter with this one. So all you got to do with these is just basically stick the cord in the for you guys to the left side of the plug, and that gives you kind of like a strain relief, so a right angle strain relief, and you just kind of just get it started in there, and then you take the back piece. Now the back piece has a little stopper, so it can only go in one way, and basically as you push this thing ahead, it's going to push the wire into the fangs of the plug. And sometimes this could be a little hard on the fingers, especially depending on the plug anyway. And then, for the ones that are, obsessive, compulsive, and if it has a polarized blade on here, you kind of follow which blade comes up, and then the wire has a rib side and a smooth side, so you basically line up the sockets to match all the wire. So for me, it doesn't really matter, and it doesn't really matter because this is all AC powered, so it doesn't really matter which direction it goes in. And then these things, they just snap in. So they're basically going to snap in, and depending on which side you want to string your lights up, depending on the direction you're going to go, whether you go around the tree clockwise or counterclockwise, and you can have this the hook go either on one side of the socket or the other side. But for testing purposes, it doesn't really matter. So these things, you have to really push on them to get them to lock, because you got to compress the wire. And whatnot. So sometimes I might have to have a little pair of pliers to squeeze them together, because I've dealt with this in the past before, and these things are kind of hard to put on without a little assistance. So I'll probably have to get a little pair of pliers if I can't push it on. Yeah, you can push them on, but you need a lot of support to get them to click in all the way. But it can be done. Actually, these are directional, so they can only go on one way. There's a little notch. I haven't dealt with these in a while, so I sort of forgot how they went together. And usually they should pop right apart. So if you ever wanted to pop them apart, just basically get a screwdriver in there and just pop them out. Just like that, and send it flying. I heard it drop somewhere. I don't know where it went though. There you are. Come here, you. So these particular ones are directionals. So the notch is going to line up with the hook. But regardless, you still need quite a bit of force to get it to set. So when they're set correctly, the back of the plug and socket will be flush. Just like that. So we'll get two more. We'll do a little test on these. So we'll get one in the middle here. Let's stick that in there. That one's good. And we'll put one on the end. We'll finish our little demonstration cord here. So normally, some people might ask, well, what do you do with a custom cut at the end of the run when you're all done? So what you can normally do is that you would normally fold this over and then either wrap it with use a piece of heat shrink or a piece of electrical tape, and that's how you terminate the end of the wire. So we'll terminate that like a professional. So we'll get a piece after we set this. We'll get a piece of heat shrink out or tape. So that's that. A little demo. I'll get a little piece of heat shrink out. Of course, preferably you want to get green. But to me, it doesn't matter, because you ain't going to see it in the dark. So terminate this, and then we'll plug in our little testing string here. And of course you would give yourself enough wire, so in the event if you ever wanted to extend this, you can just vampire a female plug on here, and then continue on. So there we go, nice and terminated. So we got that. So now we can plug these in, screw them in, and of course, I'm a big fan of socket washers and a little bit of 3M silicone paste in the sockets to stop any moisture getting in the solder tip, because that's the probably more than likely the biggest point of entry of any kind of moisture. Is it will go in that solder blob on the end of the socket. Because I got the same thing with my strobes. Because if I didn't seal the socket, I know it gets in, because I know somebody who had them in the past, and they say they only last a year or so, then they rust out from the inside. It says that's the only way they get in. You gotta put socket washers on and keep the keep your investment protected. So these are going to be freaking awesome. And then the silicone paste seals the, in this case, the backside of the plug or socket, so water can't get in and congregate there. Because now, if you think about it, we just sealed everything in there. So if it can get in, definitely it's not going to get out unless it goes through the tube. And we don't want anything to go through the tube. But like I said, this is just a little demo. Put the socket washer on the right way. This is just a demo string, because I'm going to go out later and custom cut my own stringer for that tree. So now we got our length. Then we got our big long boy. Ooh! Put our socket washer on. And I would be doing this on all, because I got 30 of these things now. So definitely want to protect this investment, because this was just, several $100s of just 30 lights. Okay. So that's that. We'll plug this in and see what it looks like. Plug out. Here you go. First fire up. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I like this. Ooh, it's got a nice effect too. Of course, the camera makes it look better than really what it should be. But in real life. Hell yeah. These are really awesome. Of course, I ain't got enough camera to go all the way out. Oh, they got different speeds in them. Oh, that's cool. Well, check out this small one here. See how it goes slow and then real fast? It's got 3 speeds. Oh, that's cool. I would imagine something like that was built in just in case you get all of one size. It wouldn't synchronize itself. That is friggin' cool. That is pretty cool. I like that. That's freaking cool. Talk about trippy drippies. I like that warm white. It's different. Get the freaking cord out of the way. Of course, it is double-sided. I think the first, if I remember right, I think the very first generation of these things were single-sided. And I think that was a question of some people when they were potentially wanting to buy these. You're like, is it double-sided or is it single-sided? I'll turn this other light off too. That's freaking cool. Friggin' awesome. Hell yeah. But I will say but. And you're going to say, well, why? They're not as cool as mine or the ones that I completely altered from Big Clives. So if you remember on my channel, I made a bunch of these trippy drippies that are programmable. They have like several, I think 7 or so different patterns in them. And I always have these things running anytime I'm at my home. So here are the my trippy drippies. So that tube in the center, that is the Big Clive method of building them things with enameled wire. And I went completely nuts and made a PCB for them. So these ones are programmable. And of course I got the little flashy at the end. I don't have the flashy on the big one. But these are the PCBs I designed. And I got a bunch that I gave to Jay that I'm still waiting for him to put them up. But I digress. These are cool. Not as cool as mine. I wish, well, I could. Now, it wouldn't look the same because you got to have so many diodes. The diodes are almost spot on as in spacing. These are a little tighter, but the programming to go a longer length because that chip in there is a big chip. I don't know how many pins are in there. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna have to get a pin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A 20-pin chip. That 20-pin chip is for the probably the programming is different than what Clive has for these things, but they're still cool. It'd be cool if you got, probably somebody could hack into them and put, your favorite drip feature in there. That'd be pretty cool. Because I got one that I like the best. It's kind of like these where it alternates. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow. Sometimes, and then the rapid fire. So it goes boom, 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 and then it takes a little pause, and then you might get 2 booms, and then maybe 1, and then it's completely random. But these are cool. So if you have nothing else, of course, nobody else would have trippy drippies like mine. But I think these are way better than the other ones. Hell yeah, I like them. So, like I said, I'll be making my own custom stringer for these things. Because I only got 30 of them. Which is probably going to be more than enough, because you figure you got these 10 of them. And some are 3 foot long, and some are 2 foot long, and some are a foot long. I like to, the way I decorate my stuff with these Trippy Drippies, I put the small ones toward the top. Medium ones, of course, in my case, it'll be small ones toward the top of the tree, medium ones toward the center of the tree, and these big long suckers at the bottom. And then alternate them. So if you got one 3-footer like this, your next one will be about half the distance, so 1.5 feet. So one is alternating. So it gives you that added effect of like there's more than there really is. So that is that. I'm very happy with them. I should be happy with the amount of money I spent for them suckers. And then we're going to talk about 2025 Christmas. Oh, hell yeah! I'm already thinking that far ahead, and it's not even Christmas 2024, and I'm already thinking ahead. That's what you need to do, especially when stuff goes on sale, and, you know, stuff gets sold out quickly, and you never know when it's friggin' going to come back in stock. Kind of like the ornament package that I bought. I was going to get just a select kind of commercial decorations for the tree. It was going to be the same concept, red, gold, and green, but the ones that I wanted, once they sold out, they still haven't come back in stock. So I got that commercial package that was all in one. So I had to settle with that. So this sucker is going to be the continuation of a theme of red and gold on the live tree. So, and I decided to upgrade because I wanted to upgrade because the tree outside has C7s on it, which is okay, but you need a lot of them to see them because, you know, there's not a lot of light produced out of these suckers. So usually the bigger the tree, I think once you get up to about 12 foot, 10 foot, 12 foot, you need to go from C7s to C9s just because the C9s are going to cast more light out. So where even though I got C7s on my 12-footer, I got a lot of them. So you sort of see them. But on the other hand, the C7s on my big tree, they're that faceted type. So they got that. I think I got one farting around here. There was. Oh, there's a socket washer. Yeah, they disappeared. They migrated. So, see, new lights, new stringers. And this is from Christmas Designers because Christmas Designers, for me to get the so-called flex filament style lamps, Christmas Designers was a little bit cheaper than Christmas Lights, etc. So you got to do some shopping around. Make sure you get the best price because, like I said, when I did that demonstration and showing off all of my Christmas ornament package in that 10-inch ball, that Christmas Designers, it was 50% less than Christmas Lights, etc. So I got 3 bundles of C9 50 count. So 6-inch spacing. So these are 50 foot, made in the Philippines. So that'll last. So I got 250 sockets because that is the maximum amount of lights that SP1 wire can support for C9 LEDs. Now, if you got C9 incandescent, holy shit. What a freaking wattage sucking concept that would be. So, these are all pro grade because these are well, I might as well say pro Christmas because the lights are pro Christmas. So, You might as well just assume that they are pro-Christmas too. Okay, so here's the third stringer. So that's a 50-footer. Are they all three 50-footers? That's a 50-footer. And 50-footer. Okay, so 150. No, that's 6-inch spacing. So that's it doesn't say the count. I don't remember the count. 6-inch spacing times 50. Does it say? Maybe it says down here. So 50, 75. Where's the other one? So 50, 175. Yeah, I got enough. If not, I'll get more. Doesn't matter because these are 2025 lights. So we got the flex filament in. Turn the light back on. Can't see. Makes my hair more red. So these are the Pro Christmas. These are the U-shaped. So they call them U-shaped bulbs, where Christmas is like lights, etc. calls them flex filament. So probably comes from the same factory. Who really knows? So I got it in yellow. So these are reds, and these are yellows. There's yellows in here. That's red. There's a yellow. And then I like to break it up. So I got these warm white. These are the twinkle ones. So these are the Pro Christmas ones. And these are the C9 twinkles. And then, so I got 2 bags of them. And then I got some more vampire plugs in male and female, just in case I need them. Because they come in handy, especially if you chop one. So there's a box full of them, of reds and yellows and some more twinkles. So that's cool. So we'll check these out. And obviously I'll use my sample test jig here. So I'll take these off. Show these things off. These things would be cool. Okay. So we'll show these off. Turn that light on. And for whatever reason, OBS is not behaving today. So, Pro Christmas, because commercial is always better. It does pay, especially if you're going to do stuff in the long haul, year after year, you want the best. So we got a yellow, and of course these are they call these the U-shaped. So I do have both flex filament and these new U-shaped guys, but basically the same concept. So these are going to be wired and strung up as double red, double yellow, and a twinkle, and then double red, double yellow, and twinkle. There's our red, and then we have our twinkle. They don't make them in smooth style yet. Maybe someday they'll put them in smooth style. Which I'm surprised they haven't done yet so far, because there's that plethora of twinkles and incandescent that have been around for forever. So we'll do, of course, I'll do the socket washers and the silicone paste and all of these when I make them. But this is going to be the theme for next year. So I'm not going to put them up this year, because I've already pretty much strung everything on the live tree to satisfy my needs for this year. But this is for next year to improve, because we're always looking for improvement. And then stuff like this, basically you run it for, whatever amount of years until something new comes out, which is not really that often. So we'll plug these in. That's very nice. And we got our twinkle going. So turn them off. Of course, the camera is going to wash everything out. But they look a lot nicer in person than they do on the overhead. Let's try the main camera to see if they look. Oh yeah, they look a little bit better, because the overhead camera is a little bit close. So very nice color. Get the wire to cooperate. Cooperate wire. We hook you like that. Get you to stand up. How's that? Okay, this is one to stand up. Something else to hold that up. I think that looks pretty nice. For now, too. So that looks pretty good. We should do a wattage check on there to see what wattage are just for like one. And maybe we should do the anti-flicker scenario. So I still got my anti-flicker thing that I made last year. But I know there is a reason why Christmas lights are not DC powered, and it's because of the DC power runs out of juice in a hurry. So if you remember, I made this contraption with a of course you need a plug, you need a incandescent lamp, and the wattage depends on the brightness, I think it was, and then a capacitor and a diode, and then a means to plug things in. So this little bugger eliminated flicker in lights, and it did work. So you see the light come on, it charged that capacitor. So I got to be careful because I am dealing with mains. So we'll plug this in. Light barely glows. I think you can see it. But one thing guaranteed is it took all the flicker out. Oh, the flashy don't like that DC powered. It needs the AC power to flash. That's an interesting discovery. I never knew that. So that was interesting. But these guys are on. And of course, for those who are sensitive, they're not flickering because they're running on DC. But you can't run many of them. So I don't know how many C9s before the current crapped out. And the voltage and the current would crap out. But you can't run any... I think I remember this. Maybe the RGBs. I think the RGBs wouldn't run either. the color changers, I don't think they ran. I think only the red would light up, and it was kind of not happy. But the flashy's not flashing. He's not happy. So that's interesting. That's an interesting discovery. So we'll go back to traditional. And little flashies need AC mains to light up and flash. So that's interesting. So, very nice color. Now, I did say I was going to do the amperage thing. It's only a couple of watts. It's not like it's just for one or two. So it doesn't even register on the meter because we're talking about less than, definitely less than 100 milliamps. So probably in the 50s or 60s. So how about 2 lights? Does that bring it up? Well, there we go. 2 lights is 700 milliamps. And our little flashy brings it up to 1.3 watts. So you can just imagine 100, over 100, let's say 50, 150. Horrible power factor, 0.48 power factor. Because of the dropper in there. So let's go back to our Trippy Drippies and see what they do. That's a heavy bulb. So we'll use our 12-inch. So 400 milliamps. Borderline 500 milliamps. No, I'm reading the watts. What an idiot I am. So, half a watt, 0.08 amps. A 0.05 power factor on these. So we'll go back to this one, since I wasn't reading it right, because I'm an idiot. So 1 doesn't trigger anything. So 2 of them is 0.01 amps. So 10 milliamps, 0.7 watts. So it takes 2 of them just to register on this particular meter. So that was the 12-inch, the 24-inch. He's a little bigger. So he's using about 0.7, 0.8 watts, 0.07 or 70 milliamps. Horrible power factor, 0.08. That capacitive dropper that's in these things. So we got this 3-foot sucker. That'd be pretty cool to have them going up too. If you could find a way to keep them straight. So it uses 0.6 watts, 0.07 of an amp, so 70, about 75 milliamps. Still cool though. Of course, this year Christmas is a week shorter because Thanksgiving is the last week of November. So that's pretty cool. So there's our little Christmas hoard from Christmas Lights, etc. and Christmas Designers. So, like I said, if you're going to shop for these things, and if you're looking for a themed, probably pays to do a competitive or a comparative shopping cart between the two to see which one's going to win. So that's pretty much what I did with mine. So Christmas Lights, etc. had a little bit better price for the Trippy Drippies, but Christmas Designers had a better price for the C9. So just a matter of shopping around. And of course, I know some people have asked me in the comments, they're like, what's the most discount you're going to get with these Christmas commercial Christmas? And typically it is about 40%. That's pretty much your standard. Every once in a while you might get another additional 11% with these places, but not very often that they'll actually combine the two together. It's either going to be either or, and of course it all depends on how much you spend. Of course, with these places, it's going to be hard pressed to not spend, especially if you're a Christmas junkie, like I am. Sadly, nobody sees this shit anyway. Just the victims that come down the street, turn around, or the people every day that go by it. So, let's see how long this has been running for. An hour? It's amazing how I come up with these 1 hour live streams, and yet today I had one viewer for 16 seconds. So whoever that was, I guess it wasn't my secret admirer, somebody just passing through. So that's all I got for this particular live stream. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.